Part 18. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 171. Dean Yu clapped his hands after hearing Gu Yao's thoughts on the Alchemy Master Guild, and it was extended from this that not only can the Alchemy Master Guild be established, but the Equipment Master Fu Master Array Master Guild can be organized according to this model. It is a good thing that really focuses on the interests of monks and benefits the common monks. It's hard for you to come up with such a good solution, and to have such an open mind. It's very good. Dean Yu was suddenly enlightened in front of him, and his mood was much more relaxed. Gu Yao said modestly, "It's nothing, in fact, it is to transfer the model from a sect to the entire cultivation world." Dean Yu laughed, and immediately communicated with Master Hugu to discuss the matter. This matter has to be brought forward by Master Hugu. Currently, the alchemist on the Tianlin continent belongs to Master Hugu with the highest prestige, and his cultivation and alchemy skills are also the highest. Although Gu Yao's talent is outstanding, his qualifications are too shallow to convince the public. Huguzu was also very disgusted by Qin Xueman's approach. He wanted to concentrate on researching alchemy techniques, but no one else would let him do so. Today, Lin continent is about to be suffocated by a bunch of bastards. Qiangu is in Tianlin continent. In the middle, it is impossible to stand idly by, otherwise Qian Valley will follow in the footsteps of Tianfu Academy. The only way is for everyone to join hands to compete with the secret forces that want to control the mainland, but don't want to be destroyed by the other party's first attack. How can Master Hugu not be anxious? Qin Xueman's Hong. It's not that he hasn't seen the sect master before. There was still a long way to go before the formation of the pill, but he succeeded in forming the pill soon after he got the Tianyuan pill. It can be seen how much capital the promoters behind him have put in to push him up. At this moment, he received a summons from President Yu, which mentioned the Alchemy Guild suggested by Gu Yao. After reading the general introduction of the Alchemy Guild, Huguzu's eyes lit up. If the Alchemy Guild could be established, it would definitely be a good idea. For the benefit of the entire continent's alchemy world, it is more beneficial than the previous Self-Cultivation Alliance. One of the things that makes people afraid of the Cultivation Alliance is the division of power. They are worried that the power of the elected leader will be too large and endanger the interests of their own sect forces, but the Alchemy Guild has greatly reduced the scope involved, but no sect can leave. The alchemist has tied the various sects together with an invisible rope. Huguzu can't wait to sit down with Gu Yao and talk about it for a few days and nights, but it is not realistic at the moment. It is better to build the framework of the Alchemist Guild first, and there will be opportunities to meet and discuss in the future. After considering the main issues, Master Hugu issued a call and initiative to well-known alchemists on the mainland, major sect family forces and chambers of commerce organizations, and hoped that all parties would support and work together to make alchemists work together. The guild organized to train more alchemists for the monks in the mainland. Huguzu himself made a promise that he would not hide his secrets from the alchemists who joined the guild. He would sort out his experience in alchemy and put them in the Alchemy Guild, so that all alchemists who meet the requirements can read it, lowering the threshold of the portal. The Tianlin continent was once again in an uproar. As soon as Huguzu's call was issued, Dean Yu of Tianfu Academy responded immediately, claiming that all Danfan members of Tianfu Academy Association and alchemist Gu Yao firmly supported the philosophy of the Alchemy Guild and would join the Alchemy Guild as soon as possible. All colleagues will discuss and exchange alchemy techniques together, and jointly promote the vigorous development of alchemy techniques in Tianlin continent. Whether it is Master Hugu or the younger generation Gu Yao, their influence in the world of alchemy is very large, so these two statements immediately turned the attention of the cultivators to the Alchemy Guild, and there were more than a dozen famous people successively. The alchemist responded to Huguzu's call and expressed his willingness to join the Alchemy Guild organized by Huguzu. Afterwards, sect forces such as the Seven Stars sect and Tianhaimen also expressed their willingness to join, and were willing to make a contribution to the development of the alchemy guild and the alchemy technique. Many chambers of commerce companies also sent congratulations to Huguzu, stood up to support the establishment of the Alchemist Guild, and were willing to contribute to the establishment of the Alchemist Guild. Of course, these merchants see the benefits. As the first joiners and supporters, they have a good relationship with the Alchemist Guild. They will definitely have no shortage of medicinal pills in the future. At least they can win like Huguzu and Guyao. Alchemist's favor. You must know that although the alchemist Guyao is a younger generation, the high-grade pills he refines are hard to find outside. Any high-grade pills under the banner of Guyao alchemists that appear at the auction can fetch high prices. These high-grade pills are said to have been obtained from Tianfu Academy through several channels. Huguzu didn't just talk and do nothing. After receiving responses from many parties, he set out to build the headquarters of the Alchemist Guild. Finally, he chose a neutral area, neither attached to Qian Valley nor subordinate to any sect force, but picturesque. The selection of this location allows all the alchemists to see the sincerity of Huguzu. If it is not for the development of other alchemists and alchemy skills on the mainland, as the valley owner of Qian Valley, Hu Ting does not need to do it at all. To such an extent. Therefore, once the location was announced, many alchemists set off to go to the headquarters of the Alchemist Guild to be established. It is not possible to let Master Hugu handle everything alone, and the sooner you join the guild, the more favorable position you will be able to occupy. Many merchants also contributed to help build the Alchemist Guild headquarters together. Tianfu College sent many monks, which made Qingxiumen's position embarrassing. Should they continue to attack or stop their actions? Sect Master Hong had already returned to Qingxiu section. He had deliberately found a remote place, just for the unexpected success of conjuring pills, and of course to hide many means. He thought that after years of planning, coupled with the smooth conquest of pills, this time his actions would be very smooth, and Tianfu Academy would be greatly damaged without swallowing Tianfu Academy. But I didn't expect that after the Cultivation Alliance was stillborn, there would be some kind of alchemy guild created by the surnamed Hu. Is this surnamed Hu stupid? Publicize the inheritance of alchemy in Qian Valley. Do the elders and disciples of Qian Valley agree? But it seems that in order to clear the doubts of the master of the Hungman, the elders and disciples in the Qian Valley stood on the side of the master of the valley, and cheered for the master's feet. Sect Master Hong had the urge to vomit blood. Sect Master, what should I do now? What should I do with the disciples on the battlefield? Elder Gan came over and asked Sect Master Hong. She was not used to Tianfu Academy and always actively supported the attack on Tianfu Academy. This alchemist guild makes her feel very difficult. If Qingxiumen dares to make inappropriate actions, I am afraid that the gate of the Alchemy Master Guild will be closed to the entire Qingxiumen in the future. Even if the alchemist in the door has protested, even if they spread the saying that Huguzu wanted to take power, they did not. How many people agree, how many alchemists are eager for further opportunities? Now the door is in front of you, how can you refuse? For Qingxiumen's uninformed disciples, conflicts and fights between the two sides are common, so why did they keep making trouble this time? If we continue, there will be more disciples in the sect who are killed or injured. It is obvious that Qingxiu sect is holding on to it, so the sect master does not give a valid reason. I am afraid that the following opinions will not be unified. Although the top of Qingxiumen was black, the disciples below were not necessarily all black. Those disciples were also recruited from all over the Tianlin continent, so how could they stand on the opposite side of the cultivators in the Tianlin continent? What's more, what happened in Kankan's secret realm before, made them have a good impression of Qi Changjai and Guyao. It was not Qi Changjai's protection. How many disciples could survive? Obviously, the relationship between the two parties is gradually easing, so what is the reason for this conflict? Sect Master Hong's face was dark and sullen, and the golden core aura he exuded was very terrifying. Facing the more powerful sect master, Elder Gan did not dare to express any opinion. Help the idiots. Sect Master Hong smashed a table in a fit of rage. After venting his anger, Sect Master Hong calmed himself down again, thought about it and said, "Let the disciples in the sect guard first, stop fighting, and find more people to enter Tianfu Academy. It is best to get close to their secret place and sword pavilion." Exposition. If Tianfu Academy only has a Jindan surnamed Yu, there is nothing to be afraid of. He and the adult behind him are enough to level Tianfu Academy. Although the surnamed Yu is Jindan, he was injured in his early years. I am confident that although I have just stepped into the Golden Core, the surnamed Yu will also be a loser when he encounters him. The ones to be afraid of now are the two guys who entered the secret place to retreat, and the boy of unknown origin who broke into the sword pavilion, especially the latter. Not only the Hong sect master, but also the adult behind him is extremely afraid. Who would have thought with a gang of heavenly arrogant sons in Changxianmen, he even let him out of the secret realm of Kankan alive? Yes, sect master, this subordinate will make arrangements. Elder Gan took the order. The headquarters of the Alchemist Guild. Master Hugu came out, but he was not the one doing the work. Several major chambers of commerce wrapped up the materials needed for the building. When monks took action, grand halls rose from the ground, and more than that, surrounded by magnificent halls. The main hall of the Alchemist Guild and the surrounding land were also surrounded by far-sighted merchants. So soon, straight roads and houses appeared quickly. It can be imagined that a new cultivation city will appear here, and it will become famous in the entire Tianlin continent at the fastest speed, becoming all the alchemists in the continent. A holy place for monks who love alchemy. With the house, Master Hugu invited the masters of the formations. After paying handsome rewards, these masters of formations had to dig 3 feet into the ground to make sure that the various formations here were forbidden to be the highest level on the forest continent today. The array masters gathered here even came up with the idea of setting up an array master guild headquarters, but placing it next to the alchemy master guild headquarters. This should be able to attract more formation masters to come. After all, the moon is the first to get close to the water. Anyway, their enthusiasm is unprecedentedly high, leaving the chaos on the mainland behind. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 172. When the Alchemist Guild first took shape, Master Hugu did not shy away from the invited alchemists who the real proposer of the Alchemy Guild was, and did not take the credit. Moreover, as the first person who proposed, Gugu insisted on inviting Gugu. Yao participated in the formulation of various rules and regulations of the Alchemist Guild. Of course, under the current situation, Master Hugu still asks everyone to keep it secret for the time being. Once the news leaks out, no one knows if they will be attacked by the forces lurking in the dark. The conduct of these alchemists invited by him can basically be guaranteed. Yes, although there is selfishness, there is no problem in the big right and the wrong, and it is on the side of Tianlin continent. I didn't expect it to be that young alchemist, but he is still a young man with an active mind. An alchemist with a big beard said with emotion. The active mind is secondary, the key is to have a broad mind. I have heard the name of this emerging alchemist several times. I used to think that he was a very lucky boy, but now I know that his success is not unreasonable. A rare young man. Yeah, there are more talented monks like Gu Alchemist in our Tianlin continent. Why should our cultivation world not be prosperous? Gu Yao received a message from Hu Guzu, and did not refuse this matter. He was also sorting it out. He hoped that the Alchemy Guild could truly play the function of spreading alchemy techniques and cultivating more excellent alchemists, rather than cultivating talented and yearning cultivators. Reject outside this door. He was so fortunate in his 2 lifetimes. He was born poor in his last life, but his master, his old man, discovered the extraordinary spiritual power and brought it back to meticulously cultivate it. As soon as he started, he received the best education and resources. In this life, he not only carried the memories of his previous life, but also having obtained such a treasure for alchemists as the pill pavilion, the other alchemists dreamed of the alchemy formula was just something at hand, and he was free to choose. But having all this doesn't mean that he doesn't know the value of these things and luck, it doesn't mean that he doesn't know the hardships of the bottom cultivator, the more so, the less able he is to monopolize it with peace of mind. Guyao drew on the success of the Apothecary Guild, combined with the actual situation of the Tianlin continent and the cultivation world, and wrote down a very detailed plan. When the plan was passed to the Alchemist Guild headquarters, the alchemists present saw it. They were stunned and amazed. They didn't expect Guyao to think so thoroughly, including all aspects, such as linking the contribution value with the resources of the guild, and how to obtain the contribution value in cultivating unearned ideas. So the alchemists used this as a blueprint to review and revise one by one, and invited several representative forces on the mainland to seek their opinions. The questioning opinions were all rejected by the alchemists headed by Huguzu one by one. They could not blatantly block the development of alchemy in the Tianlin continent, otherwise they would become the public enemy of the cultivators in the entire continent. The merchants gathered their manpower to build a giant cauldron on the hillside next to the Alchemist Guild, which symbolized the alchemy furnace used by the alchemists. When the city built around the guild gradually took shape, the monks spontaneously called the city. It is Danding City, because no matter which direction you enter the city, the first thing you see is the giant cauldron with a great sense of existence. Ask where the guild is, and others will tell you, just follow the big cauldron. Just go, the guild is next to the big tripod. When most of the forces and cultivators in the mainland focused their attention on Danding City and the Donji Guild, other series of changes were not so noticeable. Under the aggression of the forces outside the alliance, even the position of the suzerain is in jeopardy, but at this moment, the alchemist, who was straight and safe, stood up and stood beside the sect master's team. The situation was immediately reversed, and the next thing to wait for was the reckoning of the sect master. The opposition faction was furious. If they couldn't win the position of the suzerain, they wanted to separate the sects and lead their cultivators to leave the North Star sect and set up another sect, which would not only take away the disciples in the sect, but also a large number of practitioners in the section resource. But when it was announced that they had left the sect, they found that many disciples who had been bewitched had withdrawn silently and stayed in the original section. Although the top level was the decisive force, there were no large numbers of disciples. What else? Build a gang? The suzerain pursued the situation, claiming that these factions had joined the self-proclaimed anti-mainland forces called exterminators. The purpose was to break the foundation of the cultivation world in Tianlin continent, suppress the monks in Tianlin continent, and dispatched a large number of people to encircle and suppress these treasonous rebels. When Lord Hugu announced the official establishment of the Alchemist Guild to the whole continent, the Northern Star sect also completed the internal cleaning, which lost a lot of manpower. Because the incident has ended, everyone is just paying attention. As a result of this incident, I found that the sect master's lineage was still in the main position, so I didn't have much interest. Only those who knew the North Star sect knew that the North Star sect had lost several high-level cultivators this time, and their strength was not as good as before, but this time the war also made one of the elders reach the edge of breaking through and has entered a retreat. Therefore, the North Star sect is in the end because its strength has been damaged and its status has declined, but after internal integration, it has become more consistent with the outside world, and its strength has advanced to the previous level. Especially when the elder who had made a breakthrough in the retreat and successfully exited the retreat, it would be even more ridiculous to say that the strength of the Northern Star sect was declining. However, for the disciples of the Northern Star sect, the previous panic has not completely dissipated. They have killed monsters and participated in the action to resist the beast tide, but they did not expect that one day they would turn their guns and face their former classmates. Who would have thought that those elders in the past were amiable, but when they turned around, they threatened the sect master with the lives of their disciples. The brothers and sisters Lu Minzu and Lu Minbei broke up. Perhaps this was so insignificant in the shock of the entire North Star sect, but for this pair of brothers and sisters, it affected the future path. Lu Minzu has a special physique, and was attracted by the rebellious party with favorable conditions, but Lu Minzu's master supports the line of the Suzy reign, so Lu Minzu is not willing to participate in this kind of dispute at all. However, she did not expect that the elder brother who stayed in the outer door would be bewitched by the other party. Although Lu Minbei enjoyed a lot of benefits because of his status as a real sister, the outer door was the outer door, and he was trampled by inner disciples everywhere. Shang Lu Minzu himself often closed himself, unable to take care of Lu Minbei often, and the outer door was not a peaceful place. Lu Minbei, who had a high self-esteem and concealed an inferiority complex, was not popular in the outer door, and secretly suppressed one after another. Throwing an olive branch, he can't wait to cling to the past. One of the elders promised him that as long as things were accomplished, he would be accepted as his apprentice, and Lu Minbo's identity as an elder's disciple dazzled Lu Minbo. The bottom line was that he was unwilling to be overtaken by his own sister who needed him to take care of him, not only himself, but also the whole Lu Minbo. The family needs to hold their own sister, and when the identity changes in the future, he will be the noble of the Lu family. When the two sides broke apart, Lu Minbei found an excuse to coax Lu Minzu out. Lu Minzu fell into the hands of the enemy, and used this to coerce her master to betray the Suzy reign. No matter what kind of outcome the master chooses, Lu Minzu didn't want to see it, so she chose to save herself. Lu Minzu was seriously injured and escaped, and was brought back by her senior brother. Sovereign's camp. It was only because of Lu Minzu's face during the liquidation that the sect opened up to Lu Minzu's rebelliousness. He didn't abolish his cultivation and did not take his life, but he could no longer stay as a disciple of the Northern Star sect. The two brothers and sisters meet again, one is high and the other is like a mouse. Lu Minbei was seriously injured, and he threw the medicine pill that Lu Minzu sent out, and no one knew who it ended up in, so Lu Minbei was still wounded, and he spit out a mouthful of blood, and said with a ruthless expression, "This is, are you satisfied? From now on, no one in the Northern Star sect will obstruct your eyes. You are the high-ranking inner disciple of the Northern Star sect, what am I?" Lu Minzu's expression is indifferent. After so many things, her feelings for this brother have gradually faded away, and now only the coldness remains. I have informed the family, if you are willing to return to the family, you can stay outside and wait for a few days. But, if you don't want to, the elder brother will go, the younger sister will not stop him. The elder brother is no longer a child, so there is no need for my younger sister to worry about the future of the elder brother. You, good you Lu Minzu, I know you are the most ruthless and ruthless. You were able to abandon Guyao mercilessly at the beginning, and of course you can abandon me as a brother now, isn't it because you hate me for holding you back? Really? Tell the entire Northern Star sect to see your true face. Ha, a woman who offended Guyao, the Northern Star sect still holds you as a baby? I am not afraid that Guyao will come back and take revenge on you. Lu Minbei regretted it long ago, regretted not having taken it sooner. This matter has been publicized, and now I can only shout desperately, hoping that more people will hear. Why did he lose everything now, and Lu Minzu can still be her inner disciple? Lu Minzu's face was even colder. Don't think of others as despicable and shameless as you. I was a dog's eye to see people's inferiority, but how can you guess the mind of Guyao? Not much more, take care. After speaking, Lu Minzu ruthlessly threw out the magic weapon, steered Fi Yiwen, and let Lu Minbei scream like a trapped beast from behind. Although it attracted some monks inside and outside the door to stop and listen to the gossip, it was true. Not many people are interested. Lu Minzu abandoned Guyao. Guyao is so unattainable, How can they get the cultivators to look at them? Lu Minbei is insane. If it weren't for his sister, this guy would have been slapped to death by the sect master. Dare to threaten the elder to betray the sect master? Can't think of a way out. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 173. Although Guyao has not left Tianfu Academy, he has always maintained close contact with Hu Guzu, and is very concerned about the Alchemist Guild, so he is not so concerned about other things. Where did he get so much energy? In addition to sorting out the rules and regulations, he also came up with some Dan Li Danju and Dan Fang that could be popularized. He did not shy away from getting a relatively clever Dan Shu inheritance, even if he did not. It is said that outsiders see it this way, otherwise he can learn without a teacher. Which pill recipe out there doesn't need to pay a very high price to get it? It was his medicinal pills that were refined like Chinese cabbage. Su Chen has nothing to say about Guyao's generosity. Fortunately, he still has self-knowledge and didn't take out more important things. Otherwise, others would not be grateful to him, but would come directly to kill people. When things are delivered to the guild headquarters, the current president, Hu Ting, and the elders will conduct appraisal and rating, that is, how much contribution points the alchemists who join the guild need to pay to be able to read these materials. When they concentrated on the identification, some elders actually indulged in the transcribed jade slips and books sent by Guyao. To deal with this, no wonder I used to say friar and so on. The elders unanimously gave Guyao a very high evaluation, and he was one of the initiators, so he was finally given a special enshrined position, with the authority to mobilize all the precious materials of the guild, including the experience of refining Tianyuan pill from Master Hugu. Experience. Although some elders feel a little sour in their hearts, the front waves of the Yangtze River push the back waves, and the front waves are destined to die on the beach, but the speed of Guyao's rise is too fast. I believe that if this trend continues, there is no shortage of inheritance. They surpassed them, but their conduct still passed the test. Compared with those slightly sour, I still hope that there will be more alchemy geniuses like Guyao on the mainland. The precious materials in the guild headquarters will be marked with who contributed, and Guyao's accounts for a large part. When the alchemists from all over the world came, they saw the listed collections donated by Guyao, and they felt very distressed and wished for all of them. Grab it and study it carefully, but first you have to find a way to get contribution points. With these decoys hanging in front, the atmosphere of alchemy exchange and discussion in Dandingcheng is very strong. Many alchemists have taken out things that they have hidden in the past, in exchange for the contribution value of the guild, so that they can read other things. Due to the authority of the materials, in a short period of time, the Alchemist Guild headquarters has gained a lot. This kind of atmosphere made Master Hugu and the elders very happy to see it. Standing upstairs and looking down, there was an alchemist below with grey hair and beard. At this moment, he was dancing with excitement because he had saved enough contribution points in exchange for a pill. The tactic, after having thoroughly grasped it, made his alchemy technique rise to a level immediately. Haha, Master Hugu has benefited the alchemists in our continent. I will leave my words here today. In the future, whoever dares to say that the Alchemist Guild is not, slander Hugu Master, the old man will fight him to the end. Yes, yes. Now we can get the good things we want as long as we save enough contribution points. It used to be that no matter how many spirit stones you took, you might not be able to get it. In the early years, I failed to enter the sect to practice. Later, I wanted to study the alchemy technique, which was extremely difficult. Now I finally have a chance. Alchemy Master Guyao, that's really a great cultivator. He has brought out so many good things. I swear to ask how many young cultivators can do it. I heard that he was attacked in Tianfu Academy some time ago. Damn that. The guy, don't let us know who did it, otherwise we won't be able to spare him. It is because of him that Tianfu Academy dare not release Guyao Alchemist, otherwise we can see Guyao Alchemy in public. There are many alchemists here who concoct alchemy in public. According to the level of alchemy, the general guild will also give a certain contribution value. The alchemists present believe that Guyao will never treasure himself here. The guild is not only good for alchemists without a sect background, but also for sect families and other forces. Not all sects have a complete and relatively high inheritance of alchemy like Qian Valley, and they get contributions. There are more ways to gain value. For example, the merchants who helped build the guild in the first place can get a lot of contribution points by doing this, and the alchemists they focus on have gained a lot of help. With these contribution points, the alchemy skills increase a step or two is never a problem. Therefore, all forces have cast an olive branch and are willing to actively help to establish branches in various places, so as to benefit more alchemists and cultivators who yearn for alchemy. Of course, this is not a short-term project. When the news that a guild branch was going to be established in Tianfufang City came, Guyao also happened to hear people mentioning the changes in the North Star section, knowing that the suzerain had regained power and that the suzerain supported the Tianlin continent. Guyao said that was enough. Now, how can he still remember the matter of the Lu family brothers and sisters, and even more did not expect that because of the Lu family brothers and sisters, he was also discussed by the monks inside and outside the North Star sect for a while. The longer he left Yuanyang town, the harder it would be for him to remember the various things in Yuanyang town, especially the Gu family. Instead, the existence of Tianfurong brothers often reminded him of the existence of Yuanyang town. The influence of the Alchemist Guild became more and more obvious as time went on. Guyao felt that this form might be more effective than the establishment of a self-cultivation alliance. The monks spontaneously gathered around the Alchemy Guild and let those bulls, ghosts, snakes, and gods do more. It is difficult to shake the determination and cognition of those cultivators with small actions. You say Huguzo has ulterior motives? Yes, as long as you can come up with the same amount of things and benefits, the monks on the mainland will absolutely obey the orders and fight wherever they want. Ordinary monks are not stupid. Who can bring benefits to them is not based on a few words can cover it up. Guyao went out and walked around to change his mind, combining work and rest. The cultivation of astral body art doesn't seem to have much effect. Guyao feels that the rank of astral body art is a little lower, and it can be very useful when the cultivation base is low. However, as the cultivation level is higher, the physical fitness is stronger, and the astral body technique is no longer helpful. As he walked, he thought about the matter of body training. Although as an alchemist, he liked body training, which made people look a little unprofessional, but several battles and the trip to the secret realm of Kankan made him see the benefits of body training. Astral body art, he definitely can't play that kind of combat power, and after seeing Huguzo's Golden Core Thunder Tribulation, the power of destroying the sky and destroying the earth made him tremble, and he felt that it was necessary to continue the great cause of body refining. Just in order to be smooth when crossing the calamity, not to let the thunder robbery be so dismal. Obviously, there are very few cultivators specializing in body training on the Tianlin continent. He and Qi Changjai have not met one after walking on the continent for so long, let alone a good body training method. As for that kind of exercise, Guyajing and Xiebumin were trained by extreme methods of destroying the human body. Walking and walking, he came to the outside of Jianj. Tianfurong followed him, seeing Guyao in a trance, thought he was worried about Qi Changjai, and said that Brother Qi must be fine. Guyao, don't worry, wait for Brother Qi to go out and advance to Jindan. This day who else in Lindalu will be Brother Kai's opponent? Speaking of which, Tianfurong became excited, and even gestured to Qi Changjai's sword move. Guyao came back to his senses, and he couldn't help laughing when he saw his movements. I didn't worry about him, and there are people outside, and there are days outside. Jindan is not the pinnacle of cultivation. By the way, what happened to Big Brother Tian's injury? Are you done? In the past, Qi Changjai was besieged and suffered a big loss, which means that the sword cultivator of the Jindan period was Qi Changjai. You can't look down on the world, and your practice is endless, but you can't let the sky of Tianlin continent limit your horizons. Gu Yao also reminded himself. Tian Firong scratched his head. He said in the subpoena that it's almost done, but when Lao Qi came back, he said that he was seriously injured. Sigh, if I knew it would be like this, I should have kept the elder brother in the first place. He was worried that it would damage the foundation and affect his brother's future cultivation and promotion. Gu Yao shook his head. Your statement is not realistic at all. Big Brother Tian is not that kind of person. Even if Tian Fei Yang knew that the return journey was dangerous, he would resolutely follow him back. Tian Firong also knew about this situation, so he was helpless and angry. If he had the strength, he would have rushed to the city lord's mansion in Shifang City and killed them to pieces. When I went to Shifang City for the first time, I admired the city lord's mansion and yearned for the city lord, but now I just want to slap myself, who was blind at that time. Stir the rain, they can obviously develop better on their own. Suddenly, there was a quarrel in front of them, and the two looked at each other. It was strange. The side of Ji Unfeng has been very quiet recently, how could there be such a big noise? The two of them released their consciousness and immediately frowned. How could it be Shi Yanyan? Hurry up and take a look. In her consciousness, she saw that Shi Yanyan was facing several monks, and the monks' faces were a little unfamiliar. They weren't people on the sword peak. The monks on and off the sword peak had long been recognized. Who would run to the sword peak for no reason at this time? Come to quarrel with Shi Yanyan? The surnamed Shi, I tell you, don't think that we have no ability to settle accounts with you by hiding here. Even if you hide in the sky, we can find you out. Why? Dare to do it and dare not recognize it? Today, Miss Ben, I want you to look good. Catch her for me. Miss Ben will scratch her face first. Senior sister is optimistic, let's catch it. You are causing trouble in Ji Unfeng for no reason. I warn you again, leave Ji Unfeng quickly, otherwise don't blame me for not showing mercy. Shi Yanyan made a stern statement while being forced to defend. Ha! I'm looking for revenge on this bitch, but it depends on my feelings. What happened to Ji Unfeng? Ji Unfeng is not the domain of Tianfu Academy. She bitch, your Shi family is dead, so you can only hide in the sword. Fengli is like a tortoise, how arrogant it used to be. The female cultivator pointed at Shi Yanyan's nose and abused him wantonly. She deliberately poked Shi Yanyan's sore spot and mentioned the relatives who had been exterminated. Shi Yanyan felt sad from the heart, her eyes instantly turned red, and the hand holding the sword also the blue veins burst out, and there was a deep hatred in his eyes. There was a voice in her head screaming, kill! Kill these people! They are all murderers who killed the Shi family. Kill them all to avenge their relatives. Ah, go to hell! Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 174. Just when Shi Yanyan drew her sword and was about to slash at the monks who were abusing her, the female monk who took the lead flashed a hint of success in her eyes. It turned out that hitting Shi Yanyan was the easiest way. Then Gu Yao and his side people are not easy to approach, and they are very guarded against outsiders. But her expression of success flashed too fast. Just as Shi Yanyan's sword was raised to slash, a whip suddenly flew over, wrapped around Shi Yanyan's waist and dragged her out. That female nun's pupils shrank suddenly. Who dares to spoil their good deeds? As long as Shi Yanyan's sword fell, they would have an excuse to make a fuss about Ji Unfeng, so that the situation could not end. Immediately, they found that Gu Yao and Tian Firong were slowly walking out from behind, and Shi Yanyan was completely bound by the ropes that had turned into whips. At this time, Shi Yanyan's eyes were no longer red, but appeared the color of struggle. For a while, it is clear and full of killing intent. It turned out to be Alchemist Gu and senior brother Tian. Does Alchemist Gu want to protect Shi Yanyan? We are looking for her just for personal vendettas. Shi Yanyan has had trouble with Alchemist Gu and senior brother Qi several times in the past, but we are not like Alchemist Gu. I just want to have revenge. The female cultivator preempted and placed herself in the position of the avenger. Although her attitude seemed respectful, her words and eyes were full of provocation. Gu Yao was not in the mood to fight with them. Being led by the nose with these ulterior motives is the most stupid. He moved his nose, then took out a message and said a few words to the message. Then he sent out the summons in front of these people. The faces of the other cultivators changed greatly, because Gu Yao said to the communication talisman, "Please go to Jianfeng, I am Gu Yao." Someone deliberately did business in Jianfeng, and used the extract from the purple magic vine. Fan Muo, hurry up, you can also check and get the remnants of the purple vines, so I am very suspicious of the purpose and position of these people. Gu Yao, the female cultivator who took the lead, lost her verbal respect. You're deceiving people too much. I said that I would only seek revenge from Shi Yanyan. Do you think you can cover the sky with one hand in Tianfu College? Today I'm going to let Shi Yanyan pays the price. I see who dares to stop it. Saying that, the female cultivator rushed forward, but the cat cub who appeared out of nowhere, swiped her paw and slapped her out. The following cultivators didn't expect this result, and they were beaten by Gu before they could get their hands on it. The beast pet beside Harika was defeated, and he couldn't help but hesitate whether to continue attacking. The female cultivator vomited blood, glared at Gu Yao with fiery eyes, and instructed the others, "You go to me." "Hey, I think who would dare to make trouble in my Jianfeng?" the monks came from behind. It turned out that when someone was deliberately causing trouble, Tian Firong immediately notified the monks on the Jianfeng, wanting to bully him and him with more people. Gu Yao. Then let these few people see, which side has more people, so what's wrong with bullying others? After hesitating for a while, many cultivators rushed over and protected Gu Yao layer by layer, as if he regarded him as a key protection target. Little do they know, how many of these people can have more combat power than Gu Yao. They are just worrying about Gu Yao's danger. Who knows if these guys have any hidden means? Okay, I finally know how the surname Gu covers the sky regardless of right and wrong. I think this Tianfu Academy will have the surname Gu, right? The female cultivator was furious, still arguing. In fact, Gu Yao couldn't see her thoughts. It was both provocation and delaying time. Even if the provocation was unsuccessful at the moment, a seed was planted in these people's hearts. Gu Yao sneered. Another group of cultivators flew over from the air, but after reaching Jianfeng, they landed according to Jianfeng's rules and entered from the designated road instead of wanton rushing. Alchemist Gu, I'm Su Zhou from the punishment hall. Alchemist Gu, are these people who came to Jianfeng to provoke trouble? The leader stepped forward and respectfully said to Gu Yao. Exactly, you check their nails and cuffs, they should still be stained with powder, and then look at Shi Yanyan's current situation is not right at all. Second brother Hishan is a step late, presumably during this period of time, the statement that students outside Jianfeng are not allowed to step into Jianfeng without permission has already spread throughout the entire academy. Gu Yao sneered. Not bad. Go check it out. Anyone who dares to resist will be treated as a violation of the discipline and rules of the hospital, Su Zhou said sternly. You, let us go, you are deceiving people too much, you are all with Gu Yao, and you are willing to be his son-in-law. But the harder they scolded, the more guilty they appeared, and the people who really had a strong heart and passed the test, how could they be moved by such a few words? Not only would they not be moved, but also because of these few sentences, they could be heard. It is ulterior motives, deliberately causing trouble, and it is even more unforgivable. Captain, I found it. It really is the powder extracted from the purple vine. This kind of powder can make people confused and stimulate their inner demons. Shi Yanyan's experience is known to the whole academy. Provocation is definitely more effective than anything. Bring the return receipt to the court for severe punishment, Suzhou ordered sharply. Yes, Captain. The people in the punishment hall rudely bound these people, and the ropes they used had the effect of limiting the spiritual power of the monks. At this time, Guyao took a pill and put it into Shi Yanyan's mouth. After a while, the red in her eyes faded and her eyes became clear. Although she was a little confused before what happened, she still knew very well that she almost fell into the trap of those bastards, so she apologized to Guyao without saying a word. This is Jianfeng's internal affairs. Suzhou and others did not intervene, they took a few guys who had limited language function and left with Guyao. In their hearts, they ridiculed the actions of these guys, saying that Guyao covered the sky with one hand. Where is the other high-level academy going? Moreover, Guyao has always been an honest alchemist. Tianfu College and the entire Tianlin continent, how many alchemists and monks who benefited from the Qingchen pill thanked him. If Tianfu Academy is unfair to Guyao, just wait for other forces and all the alchemists to come to the door. This kind of method of provoking and leaving, which can identify flaws everywhere at a glance, is simply an insult to their IQ. Captain Su, we also caught a group of dubious guys in the secret place. These are so good. If you don't care about our Tianfu Academy, just leave the academy as soon as possible. You can't kill them with such destructive actions. Suzhou's face sank. They had been very busy in the punishment hall recently. They just thought that the manpower was not enough, and they found a lot of suspicious guys. These people who touched Jianfeng did not know how to avoid them. The eyes must be checked, and they must be checked to the end. Their elder Fang Wangru is also in secret retreat, so the punishment hall is more tense than other peaks in the situation of the academy, and he hates these people who dare to do damage. Problem, it is very likely that Dan is ruined. Here, Shi Yanyan has resigned from her current position, and her state is not suitable to continue to stay outside the Jianj, so as not to be exploited by others. Guyao didn't object, and sent a few people to guard, and there was a formation to prohibit protection. Outsiders were not easily able to break in, and even if they broke into the sword pavilion, what effect would they send? People who took the initiative to go in the past would have a chance to die, but these guys are also looking for their own way of death when they go in. Compared to the pill pavilion, Guyao felt that they could not affect Qi Changjai who was in the sword pavilion, but the secret place should be more vigilant. Elder Yi went out on business, and leaving for such a short period of time made people take advantage of it. After receiving the summons, Elder Yi hurried back. He had to suspect that someone deliberately moved the tiger away from the mountain. Don't worry about the secret place, the dean is guarding it in person. It is not so easy to think about the dean's level, Elder Yi explained. The punishment hall quickly released the results. Several cultivators were not students of this hospital, but came in from outside. Therefore, everyone is called on to be more vigilant. Once outsiders are found to be infiltrating, they will be exposed immediately. Reward. The students of the academy were already very dissatisfied because of the fight with Qingxiumen, but now it's good, they finally found a channel to vent. As soon as the statement from the Hall of Punishment came out, a mighty uproar broke out in the whole academy. The sweeping cleanup campaign really allowed them to find out some unknown elements hidden in the academy, including a very few students of the academy who helped cover up, and they were all caught out, and these people would definitely be eliminated. After doing this, it would be even more difficult for outsiders to arrange for nails to enter Tianfu Academy. During the cleaning campaign, the little fat man left the customs and finally entered the foundation building stage, and after consolidating his cultivation base, he exited the customs. He immediately brought the crystal snake Liulai to see Guyao and Tianfirong, and sent a message to his grandfather. Huguzu was discussing matters with other elders, and upon receiving the message, he immediately showed a happy smile, which aroused the curiosity of other elders. Hu Ting has never been so emotionally exposed. Is there anything good for the president? Haha, Hu Ting didn't hide the news of his grandson this time. It was my unreal grandson who came to tell me that he had successfully built the foundation. Really, look at how old Gu Yao and Qi Chengjai are. He established the foundation early, and the same is true of the Tian family boy next to Gu Yao, but he has only established the foundation until now, and he specially came to tell me to show it off. Well, your surname is Hu, you are deliberately showing off. That's not right, your grandson has been found long ago. He's not in Qian Valley, right? Where is he? I'll just say that you've been busy with other things, and I won't mention the whereabouts of your grandson. Your relationship is to know the result long ago. Yes. Everyone started gossiping about Hu Ting's grandson. They thought that they had never found anyone, so they were not in front of him, so that he would not think of sad things, but now it is different. They used to worry too much. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 175. The smile on Hu Ting's face was very bright. It seemed that his grandson's achievement was more happy than the honor he received from establishing the Alchemist Guild, and he said modestly, "Wherever, this kid is all arrogant and disgusted. In Qian Valley, because of my relationship, everyone was too careful with him and could not get exercise, so I took the initiative to leave Qian Valley to go out for training. Sure enough, the young eagle still needs to be released to grow. It has grown outside these years. If he stayed in Qian Valley, there would be no other way than to use spiritual material pills to build a foundation for him in 10 or 20 years. I know that the elders here are all concerned about my child. When he comes back when he is free, I will ask him to visit the elders." The elders knew that Hu Ting did not want to reveal the whereabouts of his grandson, so they smiled and said that they were waiting to give his grandson a gift. They also have descendants. Seeing that Hu Ting's grandson with 3 spiritual roots has established a foundation at this age, how can they not be envious in their hearts? They don't know where they have learned what adventures, and they also want to ask for one for their younger generation. The elders have never known that Hu Ting has such a funny side. Knowing that you are dazzling his grandson, you must also consider their mood. His grandson has established a foundation at this age. The mouth is still unsatisfactory, so what are the children in their family? Forget it, Lao Hu's life is not easy. He left a son and died when he didn't know about it. He left a grandson who suffered a lot of crimes a few years ago. Let him be proud now. The elders present did not hide it when they returned, so the news that Hu Yk had been practicing outside and had established a foundation was passed back to Qian Valley, which shocked all the disciples in Qian Valley. In such a deliberately guided atmosphere, not many disciples liked Hu Yk. Compared with the direct disciple of Huguzu at that time, he was really 108,000 miles away, and some disciples blamed him for losing him to the Guzu. Big face, his existence is simply a black spot and shame on the owner of the valley. But now such a waste in the eyes of others has actually built a foundation ahead of the majority, and the 2 direct disciples who were sought after by the disciples have long since lost their voices. Without deliberate guidance, Gunei's opinion of Hu Yk gradually improved. When someone said that he was not good, some admirers of Huguzu immediately jumped out to defend him. You always say that Master Xiaogu is not good, but what did he do to provoke public anger? Is it to bully men and bully women, or is it a disaster for our Qian Valley? There were 2 elders in the past who were more arrogant and domineering than him, but it was not the same as the wind and the rain in our valley, and there were a lot of dog legs behind them. If the valley owner suppressed them, I don't know how arrogant it is. That's right, looking at it, Master Xiaogu really didn't do anything to apologize to everyone. I remember that Master Sheogu used to be very quiet in the valley, and rarely ran out to make trouble, but what is it instead? I seem to remember that senior brother Sang and senior sister Wan in the past always urged the Master Sheogu to cultivate hard, not to disappoint the master, and pointed out what the master of Sheogu did wrong, and I didn't know what was going on. When they came forward to clarify something, as if they had provoked public anger, Master Sheogu was shouted and beaten by the disciples who supported them, and now it seems. Isn't it because they are jealous of the identity of the young valley owner, worried that the valley owner will pass the Qian Valley to the young valley owner in the future? It seems reasonable. This statement gradually lost its voice. Thinking of the final inference, everyone agreed to shut up. If it was really the words of the two people who were deliberately targeting and suppressing the Sheogu master, then it was doubtful that these two had accidents one after another. But if it was really what they did, then it would be justifiable for the owner to abandon them, and they would extend their hands to the grandson of the owner. How much respect can they have for the owner of the valley? Such a rebellious and absurdity hides evil intentions, and he deserves to go to hell. It is a pity to everyone that the Master Sheogu did not appear to be returning to Qian Valley. The disciples in the valley have speculated on where the Master Sheogu is now. Such a young foundation-building cultivator should be difficult to find after investigating the entire continent, so many disciples secretly began to search. There are so many young monks who have established foundations recently. They don't look like anyone, and they feel suspicious. Maybe the owner of Sheogu is not the one who shows shock on this face. The news of the little fat man beside Guyao's successful foundation building is also known to outsiders. It's not that no one suspects that he is too much, but what was the status of Tianfu Academy back then? Would Master Sheogu risk such a reputation to join Tianfu Academy? But thinking about how Huguzi took care of Guyao so much, if that little fat man was really Huyk, there was no reason why Guyao was so good to Guyao, better than his own disciples. The more speculation, the more suspicious it became. This voice was passed to Zhang Yan and others through the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce, which made them come to Jianfeng to ask the parties curiously. They already knew that these people had a kind of mask-making haifa, resisting the detection of other people's consciousness, so it is very likely that the little fat man has been wearing a mask and never showed his true face. The little fat man was not very disturbed by the Liulai. How could he know that his grandfather would be happy to expose it and cause Desu to be suspected of his identity, although he was the second-generation ancestor Huyk? Although the little fatty has established his foundation, he has been holding the crystal snake tightly, just to prevent others from pulling his face hard. With the crystal snake around, who would dare to reach out and put the glaze? Senior brothers are too busy. Now that Qingxiuman has not retreated in the Kukyu Mountains, I wonder when he will call again, and the alchemist branch is also being established, so don't you eat more snacks, the little fat man said angrily. It's so difficult to admit yes and no. Just answer, and we'll leave right away, Lu Heshan said. In fact, the promise has been made clear now, and he is still obsessed with this question is nothing more than teasing the little fat man, that's it. There really was a problem with the Qian Valley at the beginning, otherwise, as the grandson of Huguzi, the little fat man would have to live in Tianfu College and follow Guyao. At that time, Guyao did not show the mountains and did not show any GT, as for his talent, and the little fat man's temperament does not match the legendary second-generation ancestor at all, so people have never doubted his identity. Guyao appeared at the door, looking at Lu Chuzheng, who was joking, and Zhang Yan, who was watching a good show, and said helplessly, "The two brothers will spare the little fat man, the little fat man is the little fat man, what is the difference between the senior brothers?" Lu Chuzheng let out a tisk unwillingly, but in the end he still gave Guyao face and did not continue to care about it. Zhang Yan smiled and said, "Guyao, you are right. The little fat man is the little fat man, and Chuzheng and I are actually different from each other. Congrats to the little fat man who successfully established the foundation, We also specially prepared a gift, little fat man, don't be angry anymore. In fact, when Huguzu's words reached their ears, Zhang Yan concluded that the real body of the little fat man, except for, in addition to other characteristics, the most important point is that he, who was in charge of the Immortal Ascension Conference, knew very well about little fatty's spiritual roots. At that time, he didn't expect little fatty to hide his identity, and he didn't think about it at all. Now he heard about it. Only then did he suddenly realize that the little fat man's spiritual condition was the same as that of the second ancestor in Qian Valley. This is the best evidence. Zhang Yan took out a jade box as he spoke. Of course, the little fat man would not be really angry with them. After thanking them, he took the box and opened it curiously. When he saw what was inside, he let out a light surprise. "Senior brother, this thing it's so precious." Guyao also saw that the things in the box looked very ordinary. It was just a stone, but the inside of this ordinary stone was extraordinary, with the pith hidden in the stone. With Marrow's help, the little fat man can not only stabilize his current cultivation, but also improve it slightly, which is worth several years of cultivation. For the monks of the earth spirit root, the marrow in the stone also has the function of washing the essence and cutting the marrow to remove impurities in the body. From this point of view, it is also beneficial to improve the purity of the spirit root. Zhang Yan laughed, "Neither Qiu Shen nor I major in earth spiritual roots. Although the marrow in the stone is good, it is not beneficial to us. It is better to leave it in the hands of more useful people, accept it, and let Guyao practice it for us more. A few pots of pills, and better things can be exchanged." Little Fatty couldn't help laughing and laughing. When they asked Guyao to make alchemy, Guyao would disagree, but he didn't refuse. After receiving this kindness, he felt the pure earth spirit coming from the marrow in the stone, and little Fatty couldn't wait to think about it. To absorb. Guyao understood his psychology, waved at him and told him to hurry to retreat. The little fat man ran away in a hurry, leaving the crystal snake to Guyao, so Zhang Yan and Lu Qiuzhong enjoyed a cat-snake battle, watching Gada laugh. Within 2 days, Master Hugu entrusted a special caravan to send a batch of things to Guyao, half of which were for Guyao, and the remaining half were cultivation resources that Master Hugu carefully prepared for his grandson and were suitable for foundation building cultivators. The branch of the Alchemist Guild in Fang City has been established. Similarly, a branch base has also been set up in Tianhuifang City. Although Tianhaimen is still harassed by a small number of animal hordes, Tianhuifang City has always been safe. The cultivator still remembers the goodness of Huguzu and Guyao, so he welcomes this branch very much and works together to build it. So far, all the branches are under construction or have just been completed, and they have not been attacked and damaged again. It is only because when the first branch base was established, it was besieged by unknown people, resulting in anger. The other monks united and fought back angrily. At that time, only 3 or 4 of a dozen people escaped. After that lesson, no matter what kind of disputes, they tacitly avoided the guild, or regarded the guild and its surrounding areas as a truce. As long as they came here, they would at most have a war of words, but they would never those who cannot use force, otherwise they will be the enemy of public criticism. This is not a mandatory rule, but a tacit understanding of everyone. It has been consciously implemented by the monks on the mainland, and it has continued for a long time. Learning from the previous lessons, a special patrol was arranged on Jianfeng. Everyone was still patrolling the surrounding area. Suddenly, the breath of the entire Jianfeng seemed to become stagnant in an instant. Immediately afterwards, the ground under their feet trembled, and they were even more shocked and sent out a message quickly. At this moment, several figures appeared over Jianfeng, and the leader was Elder Yi. Not only did Elder Yi show no concern, instead, he was still staring at the direction of the sword pavilion. Guyao also stepped on the magic weapon and said excitedly, "Elder Yi, is it senior brother? He is going to leave the customs, The monks below also heard it, and immediately calmed down their panicked hearts. Overjoyed, it turned out to be Chi Changjai who entered the sword pavilion. The movement that comes out, the bigger the movement, the better. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 176. The movement of the sword pavilion quickly alarmed the entire Tianfu Academy, because above the sword peak where the sword pavilion is located, spiritual energy surged, dark clouds pressed down, and there were electric snakes flashing among them. Ushered in the golden core heavenly tribulation. That's the direction of Ji Unfeng. Doesn't this mean that senior brother Qi, oh no, senior Qi has formed an elixir? Senior brother Qi has been in the sword pavilion for a while. Now this catastrophe is definitely senior brother Qi. Senior brother Qi is too powerful. How old is he to condense pills? The students in Tianfu Academy were talking a lot and were excited. During the conversation, they admired and yearned for senior brother Qi even more. This is the real genius. The so-called geniuses in other sects are set off in front of Chi Changjai, and they are not convinced. Then come and try to make a Dan, ha. The students who suffered from the cold words of other forces in the early years were even more excited, and they were a golden pill. There will be at least 2 Jindan cultivators in Tianfu College. What other forces in Tianlin continent can compete with Tianfu College? Even the city lord's mansion of Shifang City is only the city lord Meng alone. In the future, whoever dares to say that Tianfu College is a garbage shelter will immediately fan it with a big ear. Can't get over the robbery? I'm daydreaming again. Senior brother Qi, who is that? Who can be the opponent of senior brother Qi under the golden elixir? That one-handed swordsmanship is unmatched across the continent, and can't deal with a golden elixir? I underestimate their senior brother Qi. No one doubted that with Chi Changjai's strength, they would not be able to pass the calamity, so they all looked in the direction of Ji Unfeng expectantly. The cultivators gathered at the periphery of Ji Unfeng, wanting to feel the vast power of the calamity at a closer distance. All the monks who were originally on Ji Unfeng also ordered Elder Yi to temporarily leave Ji Unfeng. He could see at a glance that Chi Changjai's golden core catastrophe was more violent than Hu Guzu's. Many of them were still in the Qi refining period and stayed. Only harm. Gu Yao asked Tian Firong and Little Fatty to come out of Ji Unfeng too. Little Fatty was alerted when he was in retreat. When I came out to check, this kind of movement was so close that I would wake up even if I died. Fortunately, it did not have much effect on the absorption of the pith in the stone. The two looked at the robbery cloud condensed in the air, and the thunder snake dancing wildly, and Tian Firong swallowed dryly and said, "Brother Qi, this catastrophe is too fierce, can we survive it otherwise? In the past, I didn't even dare to think about building a foundation, but now I dare to think about the golden core heavenly tribulation, but at this moment, the focus is on the heavenly tribulation, and no one has thought about this issue." The little fat man patted his chest, nodded and said, "It's too violent, but I read that the better the talent, the more violent the catastrophe will be faced, and the greater the benefits you will get after surviving the catastrophe, do you think? Is Brother Kai's aptitude the same as ours? If you don't take a powerful calamity, that's a humiliation to Brother Qi. You really dare to say it, little fat man." Fortunately only we heard it. Lu Qiu's Hung almost stumbled on his left foot and stumbled on his right when he heard the rhetoric of the little fat man. Zhang Yan said with a smile, "I think the words are not rough. Brother Qi is indeed talented, whether it is spiritual aptitude or talent displayed in swordsmanship. In his opinion, Chi Changjai is the #1 person in Tianlin continent. No one can compare his talent for shocking talent. If he leaves Tianlin continent and goes outside in the future, this kind of talent will not be overwhelmed. Coupled with Gu Yao's outstanding talent in alchemy, the two of them will go out for a walk in the future. The shock, Zhang Yan was looking forward to it. Under the cloudy sky, a figure suddenly appeared. It was Qi Changjai who flew out of the sword pavilion. Looking at Ling Ran's fearless figure, many students were excited. Qi Changjai swept around with a pair of sharp eyes, and saw Gu Yao standing with Elder Yi, and immediately transmitted a voice, Xiao backs up a little bit, when I finish the Golden Core Tribulation, don't worry, protect yourself. He immediately looked back, holding a sword in front of his chest, looking up at the thunder tribulation that destroyed the sky and the earth. Reforming pills will also face the Golden Core Tribulation, and this time the heavenly tribulation is obviously more turbulent than the one he has experienced before, but he is not the one who has survived the tribulation in the past, and his body is full of spiritual energy. The surging sword intent gave him the fighting spirit to compete with the heavens and the earth. As if hearing his heart, a sturdy thunder robbery smashed down, and just with its might, it smashed the surrounding gravel and grass into dust. What a bombardment! Dark clouds covered the sky and the earth was darkened. However, at this time, a bright light seemed to pierce the sky and dazzled everyone's eyes, but still couldn't help but look over in shock, and saw a sword light penetrated the thunder tribulation. Split the roaring thunder tribulation in half, and the remaining thunder tribulation seems to have only the superficial power of claws and claws, but the actual power has been weakened countless times. Qi Changjai was enveloped by the thunderstorm, forming a cocoon of thunder. He could hardly see the figure in the thunderstorm, and the lightning flashed and thundered, which made people worry about Qi Changjai himself. The robbery clouds in the air seemed to be brewing a greater thunderstorm. However, the center of the thunder cocoon gradually became clear, and the people inside were swept away by countless electric snakes, and soon someone exclaimed, "Senior brother Qi is absorbing thunder. It's absorbing it? You forgot that senior brother Qi is a Lei Lingon cultivator. Is there a problem with absorbing Lei Ji? Let the other Lei Lingon cultivators absorb one and see, Lei Ji is so easy to absorb. Don't absorb indigestion." It didn't take long for the thunder snake wrapped around Qi Changjai's body to penetrate into his body, and he himself did not feel any discomfort, and went all out to meet the second thunder calamity. The same is true for the sword suspended above him, constantly absorbing the thunder tribulation energy scattered around the ground, with a little purple light in the darkness, which looks simple and inviolable. The Golden Core Tribulation is 3 or 9 calamities. One after another thunder calamity fell from the sky, and the hills next to it were flattened by one layer. The monks on the periphery of Jianfeng couldn't stand the mighty heavenly power, so they had to retreat all the way back and watch the same. The golden elixir robbery of Huigazu is not the same at all. Of course, there is no comparison. Jiangziu is a cultivator with strong combat power, while Huigazu is an alchemist. The combat power and physical strength cannot be compared with Jiangziu. Compared with the vast sky robbery, the incomparably small figure made a sword after another, splitting the thunder robbery, and even the defensive magic weapon was useless. How could people not see a trembling worship? Boom! Crack! A thick bucket of thunder slammed down, smashing Qi Changjai, who didn't have time to use his sword, directly. The students who were far away could no longer see his figure, and some people couldn't help exclaiming, 20. The 20th thunder robbery has passed, and there are still 7 remaining. Just now, senior brother Qi was blasted down by the thunder robbery. I don't know if there is anything wrong. No. Senior brother Qi will definitely be able to get through. Someone clenched their fists to cheer him up. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared beside Jiyun in the sky, covering his head and covering his face, so he couldn't see anything at all. What identity? Who is coming? Dare to disturb the cultivator of our academy. A violent shout came from the sky, and at the same time, a spiritual force attacked the masked man in black, but the distance was too far, and the man in black was easily dismissed, and he spoke in that direction with contempt, the surnamed Yu, it depends on whether you want to keep the two old guys in a secret place, or whether you are interested in the kid who is transcending the calamity, haha. Boy, look at the trick. The black-clothed masked cultivator had concealed his voice, so he couldn't tell the difference at all, but he could stand in mid-air without the power of a magic weapon, needless to say that he was a Jindan cultivator. He attacked Chi-Chang-Jai, whose situation was unknown under the robbery cloud. And just at this moment, another voice came, the surnamed you are going to save people, the two old guys here are not guaranteed, haha. Another Jindan cultivator, Elder Yi, was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood, and the other party was waiting to take action at this time, intending to destroy all hopes of Tianfu Academy. The senior management of the academy dispatched one after another to disperse the students who were watching the robbery. This kind of battle is not something they can watch at all. Even the aftermath will cost them their lives. The students fled from the center of the battle in all directions. At the same time, they were furious. What kind of Jindan cultivator was so despicable and shameless? Looking back at the center of Jayun, the last thing he wanted to see was Chi-Chang-Jai. Compared with other people, Chi-Chang-Jai represents the hope and future of Tianfu Academy. With him, Tianfu Academy will not be afraid of any provocation. If Chi-Chang-Jai is defeated, an impulse to destroy everything and despair is entangled in the hearts of many students. If something goes wrong in the long night, they would rather die with these dog and day Jindan cultivators. One person can't do it, 10 people, hundreds of people, and thousands of people will always consume them. Gu Yao is very angry. Very angry. These Jindan cultivators actually took advantage of the robbery, even though they expected that they would not give up and would not let Chi-Chang-Jai grow up, thinking that they might interfere during the calamity, but when he saw this scene, Gu Yao was still so angry that he thought to ruin everything. But he still held back. These underestimate Chi-Chang-Jai. But they can't do nothing and let Chi-Chang-Jai face the battle alone. Elder Yi, find a way to block this bastard's path later. Even if he can escape, he will be hurt even more. An angry Gu Yao took out a magic talisman, all of which were explosive offensive talismans of the thunder element. Take out a pile of jade bottles, which are full of various poisons and poison pills, which can be volatilized as long as they are thrown out and come into contact with the air. Zai, this is your share. I'll smash it all on the bastard's body later, and I'll let him die. He threw a bunch of charms and poisons on the black cat's body. The last one was his own, each holding a bunch of things and staring at the figure that attacked Chi-Chang-Jai. His whole body burst out with extreme anger and killing intent. Oh, maybe the poison will destroy some flowers and plants when the poison spreads, and then I have to ask Elder Yi and the Academy to forgive me. The soft voice was creepy. Zheng. This is the sound of the sword being unsheathed. Before that, the purple thunder sword had not been drawn out, and received the baptism of thunder tribulation together with the scabbard. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 177. Feeling the master's strong fighting spirit and murderous aura, the purple thunder sword made a humming trembling sound. Kill the sword master. Desires the baptism of blood more than any weapon. The masked man in black, who was getting closer and closer to the center of the robbery, suddenly felt terrified. He saw a figure walking out of the densely populated area of lightning below. The first contact was with those eyes, which were cold and ruthless. It feels as if the next moment will be dragged into the 9-layer underworld. How can it be? How could a kid who had just formed a pill and was seriously injured by Lei Ji threaten him? The masked man in black firmly believed that Chi-Chang-Jai was pretending to be calm and wanted to scare him off, so he grinned, surnamed. Chi boy, there is a way to heaven and you don't want to go, and there is no way to break in, so let the seat give you a ride. Speaking of the attack of the black-clothed masked man, he took action. When it was said, it was too late, and the purple thunder sword flew to the master, and Chi-Chang-Jai grabbed it with one hand. At that moment, the surrounding thunder tribulation energy was sucked out. Even the robbery cloud above was pulled down. Crack. Boom. A thunderous roar sounded in the direction of the thunder calamity. The students who had not yet escaped to a safe place looked back and saw a sword light dragging a thunder ball, as if the sky and the earth were beginning to split the chaos, ruthlessly attacking the masked man in black. Attack hard. That's senior brother Kai's counterattack. Senior brother Chi wasn't injured, he's fine. The two attacks collided together, making a louder rumbling sound, which shocked even the monsters in the Kyukyu mountains to avoid them everywhere, buried their heads in their own holes and shivered. Which evil spirit was born? Yashao. At that moment, the five senses of the cultivator present lost their function, and only the strong shock and heart-pounding feeling remained. What? A scream came from the center of the attack, and when he regained his vision, he saw a black shadow flying out. The momentum swept out. The cat was also prepared long ago, and his speed was no slower than his master. Even if he did not deal with the surnamed Chi, it would not be his turn for outsiders to bully him, especially if he was bullied but he was beaten so badly. There was a weird grunting noise, definitely mocking. Elder Yi was stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted and followed up. He thought that Yaoi would be the most lost, but he was the one with the most confidence in Chi Change-I. With these things, that can run away. Get the scope of Tianfu Academy? That's good, even if he doesn't die, he has to strip off a few layers of his skin. It's best to let him fall back to the golden core after being seriously injured. Bang bang bang. The spirit talisman and the jade bottle were thrown together, and the explosive thunder-type spirit talisman smashed the jade bottle into pieces, and the poison gasified and spread out, unable to avoid being hit by a masked man in black, who was instantly surrounded by several black mists. Upper body. He was very popular in black with a mask and he vomited blood on the spot. He was a dignified Jindan cultivator. He stood on the top of the peak in the entire Tianlin continent. Today, not only was he hit hard by the juniors who had just condensed Jindan, but even the juniors in the foundation building stage. Dare to bully up, hate him so much that he stretches out his hand and wants to capture Guyao. He recognized this kid, and with this kid around, he didn't believe that Chi Change-I would still be able to catch the remaining few thunder tribulations. And if he destroys this kid, he will surely bring down the cultivation world of Tianfu Academy and the entire Tianlin continent. Meow meow meow. A giant beast floated in the air to block Guyao, and waved a paw towards the giant palm condensed by the incoming person with spiritual power. Elder Yi, who followed closely, decisively took the stack of spiritual talismans and jade bottle in his hand. He threw it at the man in black, no matter what his status was. Looking at his disgraced appearance, Jindan was not so unattainable. Boom boom boom. Several monks came to help Elder Yi and a few others. Before they could take action, they heard screams and screams. The man in black, who was arrogant before, looked terrible at the moment, with black and red on his body. The face is probably so badly damaged that no one can recognize it. Seeing that he was about to be besieged by a group of foundation building cultivators, the man in black was unwilling to bear it. Shuya launched a blood escape, burning his blood essence, and instantly turned into a red light and escaped. There is a way to stay and fight for another 300 rounds, an elder from Wufeng called out in anger. Okay, don't call me anymore, there's another one on Dean Yu's side. This reminded everyone present to rush to the secret place. There was also a Jindan cultivator fighting with Dean Yu, but when they rushed over, the Jindan cultivator also fled because he saw his companion had a tragic end, and if he was the only one left, he would not be able to obtain much benefit from a sword cultivator surnamed Yu, so he could only temporarily avoid the edge and make other plans. Without serious injury, the Jindan cultivator deliberately wanted to escape. Even if he was also a Jindan, he could not stop him if he was not fully prepared, so another Jindan ran away. Yahahaha, One is better than the other. The elder Wu Feng had just arrived, but he could only see the escaped tail of the Jindan cultivator, and shouted again in anger. Okay, you won't be able to stay by force, and it's better to leave, otherwise the fighting will be too loud and people in the secret area will be disturbed. The secret area formation was protected in layers, and the two inside were not faced with a breakthrough. The thunder tribulation at this moment did not affect them, but it is not necessarily the case if they continue to fight in the sky. Dean Yu comforted the cultivators who came to help the battle and then asked, "What's going on at Boy Kai's place? You all stay there, don't let anyone disturb you, it becomes more and more important towards the end." "Don't worry, Dean, that kid is fierce, Wu Feng's people like it very much. The only regret is that this kid belongs to Jian Feng. Such a guy with strong combat power should belong to their Wu Feng. They will be slow. Let the surnamed Yi grab it." But the people in Wu Feng all have the mentality of worshipping the strong, and the stronger they are, the more they will recognize them. Therefore, the elder Yi is very fond of Qi Changjai, and he will soon succeed in transcending the calamity. Qi Changjai is about to become their senior. It seems a bit embarrassing, they have always regarded Qi Changjai as a junior boy. After a round of blasting, Gu Yao directly slumped on the ground and gasped for breath, but the cat didn't shrink back, but arched him with his big head. Gu Yao smiled and patted its head. "It's done well, that should have learned a lesson this time, and the rest is for brother Ye to deal with it. It takes 3 feet to find this bastard, and his poison is not so easy to deal with. Maybe by the time he finds the bastard, he has already died of poison." But Yu Guang glanced at the environment around him. Gu Yao's hand paused again, and then he smiled bitterly. He threw out too many poisons. Although it severely injured the enemy, it also left a lot of troubles, so next, he had a chance busy, who let this piece of flowers and plants be destroyed by him. If you don't take action, I'm afraid that it may not be dissipated in 10 years or 100 years, and it will also have an impact on the students living here. It's really self-inflicted. The news that another cultivator of Tianfu College had successfully formed an elixir and successfully survived the catastrophe quickly spread throughout the entire Tianlin continent, and in many places, someone could be heard vividly describing the thrilling scene of the catastrophe. At that time, 2 golden pills broke into Tianfu Academy, and they wanted to take advantage of Senior Kai's ability to survive the calamity and destroy Senior Kai's calamity, but where did they think of Senior Kai's talent? It was beyond their imagination, facing the power the thunder tribulation that is several times better than other golden core calamities, not only face it calmly, but also uses the heavenly tribulation to inflict heavy damage on the golden core cultivators, beating them to at least half their lives. Can they still maintain the golden core cultivation base? Unknown. Oh, you don't know how powerful Senior Qi is. According to the fellow deist who saw it on the spot, he was able to directly control the thunder tribulation and use the thunder tribulation to blast the Jindan cultivator out, which led to the remaining few. The power of the Daole tribulation is greatly reduced, and it is estimated that even the Foundation establishment cultivator can withstand it. I'm bragging. Pull it down, you can't do it yourself and don't allow others to do it. When the front is not attacked, Senior Qi can split the thunder tribulation with one sword, and then use the thunder tribulation energy to cultivate. Who can do it? And on the spot, I saw a sword light dragging a large thunder ball towards the person who attacked. What is it that is not using thunder tribulation? I see, maybe Senior Qi knew that someone would sneak attack, so he deliberately passed the robbery leisurely in front of him, just to paralyze those who wanted to sneak attack. Otherwise, maybe he would be able to stir up the entire robbery cloud with one sword. Haha. I've decided, from today, I'm going to be a swordsman and swordsman. Don't stop me. I'll follow in the footsteps of Senior Qi. The entire Tianlin continent went crazy, and it caused a frenzy of sword cultivation. Zhang Yan and Lu Qiuzhong sold out the stock, and placed orders with several refining workshops, asking them to process and make a batch of special swords for swordsmen. Carrying a sword on their backs or in their hands, it seems that as long as they have this sword, they can prove that they are very close to Chi Chang-ji, and they can also get a little bit of sword cultivator aura. Many students on Wuifeng were arguing that they wanted to switch to the peak and go to Jianfeng. The elder was so angry that he came forward and personally beat the most fierce student. Outsiders are very fond of Chi Chang-ji, and they seem to regard him as the number one person in Tianlin continent, but they don't know what Chi Chang-ji is doing right now. Lu Chuzheng squatted on the side of the road. In front of him was the line drawn by Guyao. He was not allowed to cross this line. The poison inside the line was too strong, and the outside was better. Inside the line, Chi Chang-ji and Guyao were diligently spraying the drugs to neutralize and dissolve these poisons. Thinking of the various situations they saw outside, and comparing the current situation, Lu Chuzheng fell down with laughter, and finally sat down with a butt. Reaching out and rubbing his stomach hurts from laughing. Brother Chi, Guyao, here we come, Tian Firong and the little fat man ran wild, bringing a large number of materials for refining the antidote. Guyao had the foresight to know that he would use so much, so the number of detoxification pills that he was not prepared for was very limited, and so many poisons were mixed together, and new and more powerful toxins had been fused together, so he had to catch up on the spot. Detoxification drugs. Transmigration, First-Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 178. Dean Yu and Elder Yi stood from a distance and watched this scene. Both of them, including other high-ranking officials, thought that after Chi Chang-ji, they would go into seclusion for a while to completely consolidate their cultivation base. After the heat recovery spiritual power was replenished, he ran out to help Guyao to do things. How could he look like the senior Jindan master on the Tianlin continent? Fortunately, this place was enclosed and the students were dispersed, which shows that the situation is serious, so not many students are willing to risk their lives to watch it. The image of Chi Chang-ji can barely be maintained. The elders of Wuifeng came to cry, making Elder Yi very proud, but President Yu could not laugh or cry. Chi Chang-ji was young and powerful, and he could kill the Jindan cultivator who came to sneak attack while surviving the calamity. Enough to make him an object of adoration for the academy's young students. The monks outside are still like this. How can the students in this academy who witnessed the spectacle with their own eyes restrain their fanatical yearning for worship? Seeing that Guyao came out and started refining the antidote on the spot, Chi Chang-ji also withdrew, cleaned his hands and took out the animal meat. Starting to bake, Elder Yi twitched, and couldn't bear to watch it any longer. Dean Yu laughed, fellow Daoist Chi is so young, what do you have in common with us old guys? It's good that you can keep such a mentality so that you won't be lacking in progress. The influence of the teacher, the impulse once? Now the alchemist Guyao has taken the initiative to clean up the mess. Elder Yi wiped his old face and said embarrassedly, I'm not good at that. As a swordsman, he can't figure out what toxins are, let alone remove them. But Dean, it's been a long night since the end of the pill, should our college hold a celebration feast for him? The two didn't continue to watch, and walked back while talking. Dean Yu also knew that his breath could not hide Chi Chang-ji's perception in the past. Now that he has formed an elixir, it is even more impossible to hide, so he and Elder Yi two people are watching openly. Dean Yu said, you have to ask Daiochi about this. I don't think he is very free recently. What is he busy with when he is not very free, does it take Dean Yu to say? Elder Yi also watched with his eyes. Elder Yi was silent for a while, and continued, can the two of that day be identified? 2 golden pills appeared all at once, and now there are only 3 golden pills on the mainland before Chi Chang-ji. Except for Hu Ting, who is still in the Alchemy Master Guild, there is only Meng from Shifang City. The city owner, and the Kingshu sect Hong sect master next door, So who is the guy who was severely injured by Chi Change Eye and was infected with various toxins? Or another unknown golden elixir hidden in the ground? It's not easy to say that Jin Dan wants to hide. After all, the pill has to go through a catastrophe, and the catastrophe is so bright, who can hide it? When the catastrophe falls here, the news over there can spread all over the continent, and unless it is from outside, can they dormant under the eyes of various forces. Hu Ding is naturally the most unlikely, and the last two are the ones who are doubtful. Dean Yu said with his beard, both of them are in retreat, and everyone has doubts, but City Lord Meng has been in retreat for a long time. Hong only after the sect master consolidated his cultivation, he suddenly closed his doors, which made him look even more suspicious, but unless he saw him, he would have no way to identify the murderer. Of course, what the monks outside said was beyond our control at this time. Dean Yu's eyes also flashed with anger. The two golden pills broke into Tianfu Academy. Not only did they ignore Tianfu Academy, but the entire Tianlin continent might not be in their eyes, otherwise, how could they be so unscrupulous? Now that the two golden pills attacked Tianfu College, it is well known in the world. If these two people don't come out and clarify, how can they stop Yu from talking? The city lord's mansion in Shifang City has always had a detached status. This time it will be up to them to do what they do, otherwise the detached image will be shaken. As President Yu said, with the fanatical pursuit of Chi Change Eye, what followed was a slap and questioning of the two Jindan sneak attackers. At present, apart from the three golden pills known to the mainland except Chi Change Eye, Hu Ting has been in the Alchemy Guild, busy with matters in the guild, and even Kui Yang cannot return. Ting also came out of the guild to look at the situation over there, so it could never be Hu Ting, then it was the Lord Meng and the Lord Hong. Sect Master Hong is most doubtful, who made him fight with Tianfu Academy from friction to Tianfu Academy as soon as he returned from the pill, and Qin Xiumen behaved extremely domineering, so when Chi Change Eye was about to form pills, he was most afraid of him. The one who succeeded in Dan was the master of the Hong section, otherwise, if he was retaliated against, how could Qin Xiu sect resist? In the end, it is very possible to have to withdraw from the original territory. No one can stand to have a neighbor who is constantly looking at trouble. Before Sect Master Hong came forward to clarify, the cultivators on the mainland first settled on his charges, and the situation presented a situation of shouting and beating. Sect Master Hong never showed up, and the public scoffed at the statement that the sect master released by Qin Xiumen was in retreat. Another suspect, City Lord Meng, made everyone hesitate for a while, and there were differences of opinion. After all, Shifang City's status in Tianlin continent is too high, and the main forces on the continent basically have their own industries and stations in Shifang City. City Lord Meng has maintained the status of the strongest person in the mainland for decades, and has a long-standing prestige. It is difficult to accept that he is a murderer for a while. As a result, some people suspected Shangmeng City Lord, while others started to excavate in a mighty manner, and another Jindan cultivator who might be hiding in the dark and doing damage. The life of Qin Xiumen's disciples was very difficult. When Chi Change Eye successfully survived the calamity, the disciples of Qin Xiumen who stayed behind in the Kukyu Mountains received orders from the door to withdraw from the section lost. At this time, it was rumored that their sect master Hong was one of the murderers, and it was difficult for them to accept it. The atmosphere of the whole sect was very depressed. Another group of cultivators came back from the outside, describing them as a little embarrassed. The people who saw it said with a bitter face, "Where is the store that can't open?" and they were driven back. Sects also need to generate income, so they will set up shops in those cultivation cities to sell various cultivation items and collect cultivation resources at the same time. And the shop that used to show off its power under the banner of martial arts was robbed this time. A large number of monks gathered at the door to smash the shop and let them get out, even if someone wanted to persuade. But at this moment, Qin Xiumen was equivalent to provoking public anger. Kingxuman sect master Hong did not clarify his innocence for a day, and this situation would be difficult to reverse for a while. In the end, the disciples in these shops had to close the door, and then fled back to the door in despair. Definitely yes, it's best not to go out recently, even in the Kyukyu Mountains area. It is very likely that people next door will sap it used to be a tie, but now as long as they find their Kingxuman disciple, heaven. People from the school will immediately send out a signal, and many people will rush over immediately, but it's still good to just hit the sap. Then keep going like this. The guys from Tianfu College are too deceiving. The voice became lower and lower, knowing that they couldn't stand their ground. How did they treat Tianfu College so proudly? It's just a copy of it, you said. Could it really be done by our sect master? I heard that this kind of practice is a big taboo. If you destroy other people's calamity, then the next time others will do the same to destroy your calamity. Wouldn't the order of the cultivation world be chaotic? Others identified the Hong sect master as the murderer, and even Kingxu sect's disciples felt that their sect master was suspicious. In addition, the sect master had not shown up, and the seeds of this suspicion continued to grow. This question was bluntly asked, but no one could answer it. After a moment of silence, someone lowered his voice and said, I heard that some disciples are discussing to leave the section. As long as you don't have this status, you will have no problem walking outside. It would be even better if he could enter Tianfu Academy. This sentence can only be hidden in his heart now. Tear, doesn't that mean betraying the sect? If you let the elders in charge know about it, can you spare them? Maybe some stewards also have this idea. The tree is about to fall, and the people who are attached to the bottom have to find their own shelter quickly. Not to mention the changes in the minds of the disciples, the middle and high-level members of the sect also have their own ideas. Some people also want to ask if the sect master did it. I hope the sect master can come forward and clarify it, so they gathered at the Hong sect master to retreat. In front of the secret room, Elder Gan, who came over after hearing the news, gnashed his teeth and wanted to tear these guys apart. Elder Gan, an elder, said strangely, knowing that you are close to the sect master, we are incomparable. Haven't you seen the situation of our Kingxuman now? As long as the sect master comes forward, all the predicaments can be resolved. Otherwise, if this continues, all of us sects will be trapped in the sect. Some elders also plan their own little abacus in their hearts. Even if they didn't go to Tianfu College that day, they were disturbed by the thunder tribulation over there and saw them from afar, so they knew very well how miserable the Jindan cultivator who attacked Chi Changjai was currently. I'm afraid even a cultivator who has just entered the foundation building can't handle it. If he can take this opportunity to pull the doormaster off his horse, wouldn't it be possible to replace him? As for the predicament outside, as long as all the crimes are blamed on the Hong sect master alone, it will be solved. Ha, don't think that I don't know what you guys are up to, and you are also worthy of the position of Xiaoxiang sect master. The first one with the surname Gen refuses to accept it. Although Elder Gen was a female cultivator, her temperament was very hot, and she pointed at him on the spot. He cursed at several ill-intentioned high-level executives. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 179. The senior management of Kingxuman gathered in the place where the door owner was closed, and finally broke up unhappily. The formation prohibition in the secret room was arranged by Jindan masters. They were also worried that Jin Dan, who was seriously injured and absconded, was not the head of the Hong sect. However, under such a commotion, Sect Master Hong still did not show up, and the already unstable situation became even more chaotic. When Kingxuman fled with a group of disciples, Kingxuman was in an uproar, and the forces who got the news also watched the show. Those disciples who have both outer and inner sects are carefully cultivated, but when it comes to the critical moment, those who say run away will be severely criticized, because they cannot coexist with the sect, and such disciples are only afraid that other sects will not. Those who dare to take over are afraid that if they encounter difficulties, they will be treated the same way. Not long after, Dean Yu received a subpoena. After reading the content of the subpoena, Dean Yu just raised his eyebrows, and other high-level executives also followed the message at the same time and rushed over. Elder Gan of Kingshuman was killed by other high-level officials together. Kingshuman mutiny. One news after another, the rhythm was so fast that the high-level officials of Tianfu Academy had no time to digest it, only to know that such a big change happened not long after a steward took a group of disciples out. Dean, where will Kingshuman go? Dean, do we want to take action? This was a great opportunity to annex Kingshu section. No matter how poor a sect was, the cultivation resources it had saved would be very rich. Why do we need to take action at this time, so as not to cause a mess? The current situation of Kingshuman, we don't need to come forward, they will collapse first. Kingshuman, alas, it has been established for many years, I didn't expect it to come to an end. Already. Everyone believed that the severely injured Jindan cultivator was the Master Hong himself, so even if he showed up, there was no possibility of turning the tide, and he might even be killed by his own people inside the sect before they could take action. Now, so as not to be settled by the sect master Kaiu Hao. That's right, Dean Yu said, restrict our students, don't participate in the mutiny of Kingshuman, just wait and see the consequences. With Qi Changjai forming a pill, Dean Yu dared to say that if the prefectural college was in the most detached position today, one must know that Qi Changjai's combat power was amazing, and Dean Yu did not dare to guarantee that he would be in his hands in the face of Qi Changjai. How long did he last? He alone was able to stand up to two Jindans who had just completed the core, and even surpassed, so the current Tianfu Academy is really rising, and no one can sink it. Okay, Dean. When Guyao and Qi Changjai finally cleaned up all kinds of messy toxins, the matter of Kingshuman came to an end. Kingshuman doesn't exist anymore? Has it become history? Guyao said in surprise. He had been thinking about neutralizing toxins during this period of time, so he couldn't spare much energy to pay attention to other things, but everyone around him knew it very well. Kept a close eye on Kingshuman. Yeah, it's a little pity to hear your tone. Sympathy, Lu Hung said deliberately. Guyao rolled his eyes. I feel sorry for the ghost. Is that the one who attacked brother yet? Lord Hong? They deserved this result, but I didn't expect it to be so fast. I haven't done anything yet and haven't been able to take revenge myself. It feels very uncomfortable. The person who heard it couldn't help but burst into joy. It would be a big mistake to regard Guyao as a soft persimmon. He was clear in his heart. Qi Changjai rubbed the top of Guyao's hair, with a warm smile in his eyes, seeing Lu Hung shivering. Qi Changjai had made a name for himself when he crossed the robbery, and now it looks like an outsider can't believe it. Well, Lu Hung doesn't know, Qi Changjai's different face can be described in fine points. Tianfirong kindly told Guyao, since several senior officials of Kingshuman joined forces to kill Elder Gan. There was another civil strife between them, mainly to compete for the cultivation resources of the section. In the end, the quarrel fell apart, killing and injuring many disciples, and then walked away several times, taking away the robbed resources and selected qualifications. The good disciple, the guys who were finally left in Kingshuman, after discussing with each other, led by a few leading cultivators, went directly to our Tianfu Academy. Guyao realized how many things he had missed, and asked Dean Yu to accept this group of people. Tianfirong said that after the discussion between Dean Yu and the peak masters, they decided to establish Kingshuman as a separate peak, which is Kingsufeng under Tianfu Academy. From then on, Kingshuman, no, the relationship between Kingsufeng and our college, the large crooked hills, belong to the private domain of our college. Unlike before, it is jointly owned by Kingshuman and Tianfu College, and the monks from outside can also enter. Although they can enter now, they must say hello to the official Tianfu College and obey the official dispatch, otherwise Tianfu College can completely banished. Zhang Yan added, not only that, but the resources of the mines, spiritual fields and veins that Kingshuman couldn't take away, now belong to our academy's assets, which is a very cost-effective transaction for our academy. Of course, among them the biggest contributor is Brother Qi. Qi Changjai didn't let them change their names, what was it called, Senior Qi, because he knew that Guyao treated these people as friends. Hearing this, Qi Changjai just raised his eyebrows, and he was not surprised by the praise. This is the truest portrayal. Correspondingly, he contributed to the academy, and the academy's treatment of him has also been raised to the highest point, and now he is equal to the dean. However, apart from those archives and spirit grass resources that made him a little interested, because Guyao likes it, the others are not as useful to him as the sword pavilion. Jiangzi only needs a sword, and the rune he picked up is also out of considering Guyao's personal safety, improve Guyao's equipment. Now the amulet he made has rarely flowed into Guka's shop, which made many monks who came here to beat their chests with regret. If they knew that there was a magic amulet drawn by Qi Changjai, they would have to buy one and keep it anyway. To this end, in addition to adding many sword cultivators, these cultivators who devoted themselves to sword cultivating also developed a hobby, that is, drawing talismans. Guyao said with joy, is there a large number of spiritual fields over there? Is our academy busy? Zhang Yan laughed and said, Guyao, do you want to have a kick? Guyao waved his hand and said, it's not me, but I got something in the Kankan secret realm. I may not use it myself, but it can play a greater role in the hands of others. Zhang Yan said clearly, is it about the cultivation of spirit grass? Guyao nodded, no matter how good things are, they will rot if they stay here. It is better to take them out and let the academy play a greater role. Interested monks can study further. He believes that with these things, the current spiritual Tianlingzi's output can definitely increase a lot. Guyao is planning to discuss with Dean Yu, if you make the best use of these good things, someone over there will come to Qi Changjai and say very respectfully, the dean invites Elder Qi to come and say that there is something important to discuss. Qi Changjai was very cold in front of others, so he nodded and pulled Guyao to fly to the peak where Dean Yu was located. The person who notified them quickly followed, and he would not say that Dean was only looking for Qi Changjai. Guyao was unnecessary. If you keep up, you won't say that if you give him the guts. The two of them now have a detached status in the academy. Elder Qi, Master Gu, you are here. Seeing the arrival of the two, the high-level seniors who came one step earlier greeted each other with eager attitude. Compared with the elders who established the foundation, Qi Changjai of Jindan stage was promoted to the Supreme Elder of Tianfu Academy. He was with Dean Yu, and Qi Changjai shied away for a while. When everyone called someone, they went to the word Taishang and directly called him the elder. Qi Changjai nodded slightly. Guyao called people one by one, looking like a good boy. People couldn't help laughing, thinking that it was the good boy in front of him who created such a pile of toxins, and subconsciously listed him as a person who should not be offended ranks. Although he looks good-natured and soft-hearted, once he gets angry, it is extremely powerful. Thinking about the Jindan cultivator who escaped that day, if he hadn't burned his blood essence and launched a blood escape, he would have been unable to escape. It can be regarded as a kind of broken arm to survive. Is the essence and blood so easy to raise? What's more, he was seriously injured and poisoned. Thinking about it, he could feel sympathy for that Jindan cultivator. You said that it is not easy to cultivate a golden elixir, but if this guy is the master of the Hong clan, it took a long time to be complacent, and he was beaten to death by others, and he was notorious. Dean Yu pointed to the peak master Qingxiufeng, who was a relatively neutral and conservative elder in Qingxiumen, whose surname was Jin, and said, Elder Jin wants the college to join forces to break the secret room of the Master of Hongmen, but Elder Jin suspects. Sect Master Hong is no longer in the secret room. Retreat is just an excuse, so we have to open it up. It's just that this secret room is not so easy to open. Elder Chi, what do you think? Chi Changjai understood what the reason for calling him here was to cut off the retreat of the surnamed Hong, so that he had no chance of recovering, so he nodded and said, yes, if it can't be opened, I can cut it with a sword. Open. The seniors present, including Elder Jin, sighed inwardly, but Chi Changjai has such ability, no one will think he is boasting. After saying this, Elder Jin clasped his fists and said gratefully, then Lao Chi will take action, Chi and Shui. The peaks are grateful. Elder Jin complained a lot about the previous actions of Sect Master Hong and Elder Gan. When the sect split, he could only try to save some innocent disciples, stay on Qingxiu Peak, and then take them to Tianfu Academy to seek a shelter. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 180. To Chi Changjai and Guyao, this Elder Jin was quite unfamiliar. He used to be equivalent to an invisible person in Qingxiumen, but now he looked at him with a calm expression, and he did not change to the sullenness of his clan being attached to others. The elder's character is quite good. If he doesn't do this, the disciples who will stay in Qingxiumen will wait for other monks to rob them. The dead camel is bigger than a horse, and how many people and forces are staring at them. The final outcome is that the disciples are scattered and homeless, and they may even be killed casually in the fight for property. Now not only has a shelter again, but Tianfu College currently has 2 Jindan cultivators in charge. No matter how you look at it, it is the mainland top power. Chi Changjai and Guyao immediately set off with President Yu and Elder Jin to Qingxiufeng. When they passed from the sky and stayed above the secret room, Chi and Suifeng's disciples were all attracted to watch, and when they saw the people of Tianfu Academy, their feelings were very complicated, and they didn't have much identification with Tianfu Academy for a while. After all, in the past, it was necessary to confront each other, but now they belong to the same force. Is Sect Master Hong really still in the secret room? It was he who made us miserable. Although Qian Suifeng has been preserved, most of the property originally belonging to Qian Suimen has been divided up, and the rest is limited. Although there is no fear of life now, his status is definitely not as good as before. I really don't know what Hong Sect Master thinks. I heard that Hong Sect Master was trained by the Exterminator organization, so he specially provoked us to fight against Tianfu Academy. No need to say more, there will be results soon. The disciples below stared at the situation above. Some disciples also stepped on the magic weapon and flew into the air, so they could see more clearly. They were in awe of Chi Changjai. He turned the whole situation with one person. Lead to the demise of a sect. Chi Changjai's eyes flickered with aura, and the formation restrictions below were not very clever. However, it was set up by Jindan cultivators, which contain the spiritual power of Jindan's strength. Under the eyes of the spirit, the weak points of the prohibition of the formation were exposed. Chi Changjian pulled out the purple thunder sword, and after the baptism of thunder tribulation, the purple thunder sword became even more unfathomable. A sword pierced the sky and landed on the restraint outside the secret room with a terrifying force of destruction. The restraint trembled for a while, and then, like an eggshell being smashed, it fell apart with a bang, and the fragments turned into aura and dispersed into the surrounding air. After Chi Changjai made a sword, he stopped and stopped. Elder Jin had been watching since Chi Changjai made his attack, and he became more and more convinced of his strength. His real fighting power was only as good as the one who entered the middle stage of Jindan in the future. Compared with President Yu, Chi Changjai, who used to be the first person under Jindan, is now the first person in the entire Tianlin continent. The sword just now didn't make Chi Changjai show much strength. It was just an ordinary sword that solved the tortoise-like cover for Elder Jin and others. No need for President Yu and Chi Changjai to explain, the others rushed down to open the door of the secret room, and everyone was surprised by the situation inside. There was someone in the secret room, but this person was not the Hong sect master everyone thought at all, but a cultivator in the Foundation establishment period, wearing the clothes that originally belonged to the disciples of Qiandang sect. Who are you? What about sect master Hong himself? Why are you in the secret room where sect master Hong is closed? A series of questions made this disciple bewildered, and at the same time he became afraid. If the door owner did not come to open the secret room in person, then his situation must be very dangerous. When he saw Elder Jin behind him, he immediately rushed over. Jin the elder rescued me. The disciple does not know why Elder Gan let me pretend to be the sect master to stay in the secret room. Elder Gan said that the sect master had something to do when he was out, and he would send me out when he came back. I don't know anything. This voice was even heard by the disciples who were watching from below and in midair, and there was someone who was this disciple, and there was an uproar. As expected, Elder Gan and sect master Hong were in the same group, and they united to deceive these disciples. It was clear that sect master Hong was not in the secret room, but there was a scene where sect master Hong was in seclusion. Elder Gan really died not wrong. Chi Changjai swept the secret room with his sense of consciousness, and sure enough, there was no second person. After his work was done, he hugged the sword and said, "President, I have nothing to do here, Xiaoao and I will take a step first." "Okay, let's go with your work," Dean Yu said in a very good-natured manner. Chi Changjai nodded at the others, and then pulled Guyao away, before Guyao had time to say hello to them. Looking at the sword light that disappeared in the blink of an eye, Qian Suifeng's disciple sighed inwardly. Qian Suiman made a wrong step. Dean Yu discussed it with Elder Jin, and brought the disciple back to interrogate him clearly. There is no problem. Then it is up to him to choose to stay or leave. The result of the interrogation was known later on Chi Changjai. As expected, this disciple still had some problems. At least he followed the original Elder Gan to do something. For example, Qingxiumen and Tianfu College had conflicted in the Kukyu Mountains before, and had risen to both sides. In a big fight, this disciple also played a big role in it, so it is impossible for such a person to stay. But he really didn't know the whereabouts of Sect Master Hong, or even the news that Sect Master Hong might be seriously injured. In the end, Elder Jin personally took action, abolished his cultivation and drove him out of Qingxiufeng. The Qian Suifeng disciples who originally sympathized with him were gnashing their teeth at him after knowing the problem he had explained. Sure enough, everything was manipulative behind the scenes, and it was implicated these innocent disciples who didn't even know about them. When the conflict broke out, Qingxiumen also killed many disciples. For their own conspiracy, the lives of the disciples can also be counted. Knowing that the Hongmen and the original Elder Gan and others did not treat them as ordinary disciples. See, Qian Suifeng's disciples have gradually let go of their original identities and are determined to enter Tianfu Academy. Chi Changjai took Guyao back to Jianfeng. He was busy before, and Guyao didn't have time to ask Chi Changjai how he entered the Jianj Pavilion. "Go, I'll take you in and take a look." Chi Changjai grabbed Guyao's hand. Then walked to the sword pavilion. "Yeah, brother, yeah, can you control the sword pavilion now?" Guyao said in surprise. Chi Changjai smiled, "It's barely possible, but it can't be retracted freely, so it's impossible to put the pill pavilion into the body like Guyao, but it's completely okay to bring people in to prevent the sword energy inside from hurting." Su Chen in the space was also moved when he heard it, and he quickly turned his eyes away and looked at him. He had no interest in Qingxiumen's walks before. The rise and fall of this kind of sect force can only be achieved by staying in the cultivation world for a long time. It is not surprising to see a lot, but it is not as good as a sword pavilion that can arouse his interest. He also wanted to know if the sword pavilion really existed like a pill pavilion, and that the pill pavilion and the sword pavilion were not related to the 100 clan in ancient times. The books and materials from Gu Yao's side have been sorted out, but there is no information on this aspect. Su Chen has always been curious. In his original place, there is a legend that this pill pavilion is a thing from the upper realm and is from the upper realm. What fell down, it turned out that he was also firm, but his belief in coming to such a remote and backward place was shaken. The prohibition outside the Jianj is not comparable to the secret room of the master of Hungmen, but when Qi Changjai brought Gu Yao over, the prohibition automatically gave way to the road like a stream of water, and the door of the Jianj moved freely. It opens in front of you and closes automatically when you enter. At this time, if someone follows up, they will find that the effects of those restrictions still exist. Do you feel it? Well, it's a place full of sword qi, and the further you go, the stronger the sword qi. As for the sword qi, Gu Yao couldn't be more familiar with it because of Qi Changjai, but because of Qi Changjai, those sword qi also automatically deterred to them, which was amazing. Yes, people who can't cultivate sword qi can't enter here at all, so it is said that the first floor is missing. The first floor should be the place where sword cultivators can feel the sword qi, and the second floor is the test. It is the strength of Jiangzi's sword qi. If you want to go deeper, you must make your own sword qi stronger and stronger, otherwise, the sword qi will penetrate and the sword qi will suffer great injuries. Qi Changjai explained to Gu Yao as he walked, that even if there was no Changkong sword pavilion, the sword qi on the first floor would have no effect on him, and with one sword qi he could wipe out all the dense sword qi around him. In addition to this place for sharpening sword energy, there is also a special space for sword practice trials. There are two types of places. One is a trial where the soul enters and participates in a fantasy realm. The tester must defeat all the enemies that appear in it. In order to successfully exit the customs, another space is to fight against the sword puppet. This kind of sword puppet seems to be formed purely by the condensed energy of the sword. The sword is both his weapon and the puppet itself, which is not easy to deal with. When he saw the sword puppet, Su Chen gasped, and his voice echoed in their minds at the same time, this sword puppet is entirely made of swordstone. It is estimated that those almighty people want to have such a sword puppet, but a good swordstone is hard to find. It is not so easy to cultivate a sword puppet and become a real combat weapon. Unless there is an environment like Jianj. Su Chenexin said that, as far as he knew, some sword cultivators would also use sword puppets to guard the gates, far from being luxurious enough to let cultivators control them as a self-defense tool, but as far as he knew, those sword puppet hires they haven't been able to grow to the perfection of these puppets in front of them. There are more than one here. There are more than a dozen of them. Qi Changjai raised his eyebrows when he heard it. Of course he had heard of the swordstone. However, in his original sect and outside, it was very lucky to have a swordstone, and there were puppets made of swordstones. Looking at it this way, these puppets are really valuable.